So now that we have the key, we have three main things, right? We have a message in the space of all messages. We have a ciphertext in the space of all ciphertexts, and we have a key in the space of all possible keys. And we want our encryption function will take a message and a key and map that to a ciphertext. And our decryption function will take a ciphertext and a key and map that to a message. And to be correct, we need to obtain the same message after decryption. We need to know for all messages and keys, we have the property that decrypting using that key, and I'm going to use the notation where I put the key as a subscript to the decryption function instead of as an input. But that means the same thing as saying there are two inputs to decryption. One is the key, one is the input ciphertext. And the input ciphertext is the result of encrypting using that same key, that message. And we want to know for correctness that that value must always be the message that was input to the encryption function. Correctness, of course, is not enough. We also want security. And our security property, in an ideal sense, would be that the ciphertext reveals nothing at all about the key or the message. We're going to formalize this a little later this unit. For now, let's think about that property informally. And what I'm going to ask you is a quiz to see whether given functions satisfy our correctness property. So now it's time for a quiz to see that you understand the correctness property for a symmetric cipher. Which of the functions below satisfy the correctness property for a symmetric cipher? And we'll assume both the message space, the set of all possible messages, and the key space, the set of all possible keys, are the natural numbers, so the whole number starting from 1. So each choice is a pair of functions, the encryption function and the decryption function. For the first choice, the encryption function adds the message and the key. For this decryption function, we subtract from the ciphertext the key. For the second choice, the encryption function is the identity. The decryption function is the identity on the ciphertext. For the third choice, I'm using the modulo operator. X modulo y is the remainder you get when you divide x by y. And modulo is a very useful operation in cryptography. We'll see that quite a bit later on this unit as well as in later units.